a lot of people have been talking about, the big discussion with three DPs being Morris, Della Vega, Rusnak. Obviously, whole separate issues with Rusnak and Morris being the DPs, but Della Vega, a lot of people are like, he was butt cheeks last year. Basically, we should cut our losses on him or like writing him off. Why should that not be the case though? That's what I want to ask you is why do you think like me and you, I think that's going to be our thing now going into next season is we are so confident that he could be that Lord and Savior, the saving grace for the Sounders in a possible bleak-ish offense.
Yeah. So I want everyone in the live to just picture this. Okay. You're 22 years old. You have never left the country. You signed to a massive club in America, the biggest fan base, or at least one of the biggest fan bases. You replace the club's greatest player, and he just left, and you get the number 10 shirt. Okay, you're from Argentina, so you're not like no one's obviously comparing him to Messi, but you're from Argentina. You're you're young. You were a lot of people like expected huge things from him. You have so much pressure, so much pressure. You go to a foreign country, don't speak the language at all.
I want to add this. You're the biggest signing the club has made in a few
The most
years.
expensive. He's the most
Yeah.
expensive transfer besides Dempsey, but does that even count because it was funded by the
Nonetheless,
MLS.
he was probably one or two
He was
biggest
the
transfer in the
biggest.
club's history.
He was likely the biggest self-funded transfer, coming off of our greatest player ever, taking his jersey. He's supposed to be the guy, and then you get hurt. So you're already dealing with that pressure, and then you get hurt. Okay, you can't train. You're devastated because what else did you come out here to do, bro? You can't even play soccer. You're sitting in your apartment. Yeah, it's a nice apartment, but you're sitting there like, damn, like I want to train, man. I want to play. I want to be in there. Okay, and then you come back finally, and then you get hurt again because you're not fit. You're not used to the
You're
pace of this league,
you're rushing yourself back too.
and then everyone's calling you a fucking bust. He's not. He's not a robot. I'm sure he sees like some of the things that people say about him, and then you get hurt again, and then everyone's writing you off, and you're trying to fit into this new system because the Sounders is not like it's not like just a whole lot of free flowing
Attacking
ball.
football.
Like you
Yeah.
gotta be in certain positions, and he has to learn certain roles and whatnot. But he's trying to do all this while facing the most pressure that arguably any Sounder has ever faced. Is that fair to say?
I would
He's had
argue
the
maybe
pro
Dempsey, but yeah, again,
besides
still, that's
yeah,
only,
okay,
yeah.
yeah. But but at least Dempsey was proven. Della
Yeah,
Vega has
exactly.
to prove
He's,
himself.
yeah, yeah.
So, and you fight through all that, and you finally get back after multiple injuries, and everyone's just calling you a bust. Like all these things are going wrong, and it's his first year, and he's a kid, bro. He was only 22, 23 years old. Like to call him a bust to me is crazy. Especially when we saw the talent. First game, all anyone could talk about on the Sounders was De La Vega. All the commentary was about is De La Vega because he shined, man. And even in the Austin game where he got hurt, he was amazing. And then the first couple times he came back, he put in really like promising performances. And then after 3 injuries, of course he's not going to be completely fit and look the best. Learning a new system, new teammates, and they've already built this a lot of chemistry. Like, of course he's not going to look the best, guys. The signing was 4 or 5 years. It's year one. It was year one, and he barely got to build momentum.
I want to
But
add these points to it too, with what you just said, is when you look as well at the end of the season push, there was a lot of good glimpses of what you would want from a star player. He's taken on 3, 4, 5 players. You can see he's hustling back.
have you ever seen? When's the last time you've seen a Sounders player
That,
beat
yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 players in one game?
No, I
The
agree.
Portland game, you can count it. 7 players he beat. When's the last time you've seen a Sounder do that?
And that's what I'm saying is he has the potential of being the light at the tunnel for us offensively. Because in my opinion, I think our offense is kind of bleak. It's dry. And I think that's also to Della Vega's sadly detriment is the way our offense rolls. It's super cookie cutter, in my opinion. It's very cut and dry how we roll with our offense. And it doesn't, I don't think benefits Della Vega. And I think to a degree is why it didn't benefit Chu that much either. Granted, I don't think Chu is that great, but I don't think the style we play offensively helps these free flowing type of attackers flourish. And I'm
Yeah.
hoping we learn from that mistake and we can make that happen. The one thing is too is like we just said, he's beating 3, 4, 5, 6 players. Imagine if you gave him a proper striker, like almost like a Giroud. Like I think about Giroud and Hazard when Giroud joined Chelsea in his latter stage of his career. Hazard would always love playing off of him, and he would
Yeah,
also feed Giroud opportunities. Imagine if you
yeah,
had a guy like that for Della Vega. The amount of times Della Vega set up Morris, like easily Della Vega could have had like at least like a 1 goal and at least like 3, 4, 5 assists. If a lot of the chances he found wasn't spurned.
yeah.
And
The Portland game, and that, by the way, the Timbers game was one of our final games of the season. So
it
he's
was the
ending
final
on a
game of the
pretty
season.
the final game, but playoffs too. But just final game of the regular season should have had an assist to Jordan Morris, obviously. But that game was huge, and it was like towards the end of the season. Like that's something that you build into this season, rolling in with. And if anyone remembers the early games, De La Vega was flying like everywhere. He was everywhere, man. Literally everywhere. Don't you think that that stuff slowing down, like the logical reason would be, oh, he's not a bad player. It's fitness. He's
Yeah.
had to come back from 3 injuries. He's barely been able to build fitness, adapting to a new, more physical league. Like you saw the talent. We all have seen the talent. Like when it just comes to like the Sounders players who are just pure talent, who's the best? He's up there. He's probably number one in
He
my
probably
opinion.
is number 1. Yeah, I was gonna say
So
he
the
is.
talent is there.
I think it's just a matter of getting the goals, and I think once he gets over that hump, I think people are gonna reevaluate who deserves to be the DP over the other. Because yeah, of course, Morris and Rusnak, they're veterans, dude. They've been in this league for like 10 years. I would have expected nothing less than for the guy who takes all your penalties to get the stats that he got.
Also, just De La Vega's gonna probably be playing out wide, and we just brought in another like high end attacker in terms of who's gonna play a lot of minutes. Even if De La Vega ends the year with like, I don't know, 8 goals, 7, 8 assists, but you can tell when you're watching the games that he's making a huge, huge impact. That's
That's
all we
the
can
eye
ask
test.
for.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he passes.
exactly. Because you can look at, for example, Leo Chu's not this last year, but the year before. His box score numbers were good. He had one really good game, but if you watched him, you're like, there's a lot of things like this guy needs to work on. And whereas De La Vega is like his touch, his dribbling, it's so silky. Like, and there's a lot of times where he's made a lot of smart passes. Like his vision,
You
I
can
think, is
you
very
can see
good.
he's ahead of the curve, and you can see,
Yeah,
how he makes a lot of half chances, which that's, I think, a big problem with our offense is we don't have guys that can make that many half chances that can and I think Del Vega has the potential, which you brought up in, like, that Portland game, to grab the team by the scruff of the neck and make something happen from nothing. I know we haven't seen it yet, but I think the big promising games where we talk about
we have seen it, I think. There's
yeah,
sometimes where we have seen it, and even the first game he played, and we were down 2-0, he comes off the bench, has the
completely
fucking
changes the
balls to
game.
come in to take a
Yeah.
penalty kick against Lloris. Like, yeah, I know he wasn't the best penalty kick taker, but that's still a huge moment for a young player. And then he gets the ball midfield, skips past a few guys, plays Potato Musovski in, who doesn't know how to make a run. But it's just stuff like we've seen it before. And in the Austin game, the second game of the
Of the
season,
season.
you could just tell by the way he played, he was playing so much faster than everybody else. Like the kid has it.
Yeah.
Like to me, all it's going to come down to is can he learn to play in the system? Because ultimately, you can't succeed in a rigid system if you're not playing in it. And will he be fit? Will he take his fitness as serious as it needs to be? And if he does these things and has a full preseason to prepare, like I think he's going to come good.
I will add too is I think you should one good point is I think you should make Della Vega your main penalty kick taker, but two, you really should try to build the system around him. Something I brought up earlier during the live stream was I think we're looking at things a lot short term, especially with our moves, the players we play. I want us to look more long term, and I think Del Vega is more of the future. So I would want us to build more of a system that surrounds, encompasses Del Vega to his strengths. And I feel like, but no, more so, we're playing it around more of Morris and Rusnak's strengths, which again are more short term because they're on the wrong side of 30. They're getting older. There might not be much more upside from the both of them. But with Della Vega, you could have an even bigger upside possibly. So, but I think as well with the addition of Ferreira, I mean, he plays that like kind of false nine forward. I think a benefit, I think the biggest plus with him is maybe it could help out Della Vega a lot more. And that's kind of
That's what I
something
was gonna say. I was gonna say I
here.
think they can play more free flowing because
Yes.
Ferreira's the type of guy that likes to roam. And I
Yeah.
think that would work well with Della Vega as well. I think they could like interchange and make different types of runs and stuff. I think he'll work well. It's just like I think honestly the biggest thing is just going to be his fitness.